Today on Monkey Life, Alison's undercover on the trail of an illegal beach chimp.
Shadi.
He's locked up, dressed up, and forced to work hours in the heat.
I think he's coming to the end of his working days, and that means potentially the end of his life.
But can a meeting at the Turkish embassy secure a rescue?
Fingers crossed, I think.
This is Monkey World in Dorset. Tucked away deep in the English countryside, it's the largest sanctuary for monkeys and apes on the planet. And this is Dr. Alison Cronin, the primate's best friend. Alison and her team spend their lives rescuing
Really pleased this punch.
and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
Somebody wants to say hi. Hello. Hello.
They currently look after more than 240 monkeys and apes from 16 different species. This morning, Alison's on a mission. She's heading to the Turkish embassy in London to appeal for help with the rescue of 2 chimps being illegally worked in the country's holiday resorts.
I've got a file of hundreds of reports of angry tourists who are tired of seeing these chimpanzees worked on the beaches. So for the Turks at this point, it'll be a very easy option for them to do something about the trade in chimpanzees, do something good for their own tourism, and for the sake of 2 individuals who are breaking international law that Turkey signed in '96 to protect endangered species.
For Alison, the visit to the embassy is the culmination of months of hard work. It all started when she headed out to Turkey on an undercover recce, prompted by those letters of concern from British tourists. The holidaymakers had spotted chimps being paraded around the hotels and beaches of southern Turkey.
I've arrived in Alanya, Turkey, finally, and now I sort of have the daunting task of trying to sort of go through all of the reports and sightings at the different hotels and try and find out where this chimp might be working at any one time. So I think I'm going to just start pounding the beaches and trying to get into the different hotels and see what they've got on offer and what the photography situation is here.
Using a hidden undercover camera and an innocent-looking small tourist video camera, Alison and a colleague began their search and quickly struck gold, a poster for one of the chimps.
What I found out is that it's a very different scenario here than it has been in previous places we've looked into, whether it be Spain or otherwise. There isn't a guy just running up and down the coast in public areas trying to get people to take photographs. What happens here is that these are all-inclusive resorts where there are photography stands at the resorts, and the photography stands actually hire in the chimpanzee for 1 hour, 2 hours, once or twice a week. And what I happened to see yesterday when I was just wandering around was a sign put up for the chimpanzee to be coming this afternoon to my hotel. So it's going to be my first opportunity to actually get face-to-face with one of these chimpanzees. I believe it's the smaller chimp.
Maintaining her cover, Alison hovers on the edge of the group of English and other European tourists, queuing up to have their photograph taken with the chimp.
Shadi. Сюда смотри, друг. Да. Да.
I got to talking with the man who is owning and working the chimpanzee, and it turns out the chimp's name, at least in this instance, he's calling him Chadi. and it's a male chimp. And he says he's 8 years old, and quite frankly, that's probably a fair call on the age front. He does look about 7 or 8 years old. He's quite a big chimp, and the hands are enormous, but he's very frail, so he's not being fed well, he's not exercising. In particular, I'm really concerned about Chadi's mouth. You know, whether or not, once again, I captured it on film or not, but Chadi's had all of his teeth removed in the front, and I say removed, he's had them knocked out. Just like little chimpanzee Brian that we got from Cancun, in Chadi's gum line, it's very apparent that there are shards of broken tooth where somebody's just knocked his teeth out and left bits remaining. Those bits, the gum has now swollen up around them, they're infected, they're angry, and you know, it's going to be really painful for the chimp, but also it might lead to infection that goes down into the bone and causes him a very serious problem in future. Everything's looking pretty grim for the future of this chimpanzee unless we can get the Turkish authorities to do something.
After a tiring session in the hotel garden, the chimp's owner and the photographer move him to a nearby beach, where more tourists queue up. Determined to get more information, Alison checks through her files. And next morning is on the trail again.
Managed to find the guy with the chimpanzee, and he's actually at the hotel right back behind me right now. So I'm just sitting here waiting, hoping that he drives out and I can identify exactly which car he's in. I've got some information from one person that says he drives a Mercedes and that the chimp sort of sits in the seat next to him with the seatbelt on. So basically now I just want to find out what car he's in, and then I can maybe find out where the chimp lives, because I think it lives in a town very close to where I'm staying.
Several hours later, the chimp and his owner appear. And Alison tracks his car through the traffic to a house on a busy road in a nearby town.
Really, I wanted to confirm that Chadi, the chimpanzee, was actually living inside of the shed that I suspected. We had seen the photographer take Chadi and put him inside of the shed, but we weren't really sure whether or not the chimp, you know, lived in there 24/7 except for when it was working. Tried to have a poke around the shed in the middle of the night the other night, but you really couldn't see anything, and even banging on the walls and the door, that nobody responded from inside, so didn't really confirm anything.
Next morning, from across the street, Alison watches the owner collect Chadi from the rundown shed, strap him into the car, and once again, head off to work. Unaware how dangerous and uncontrollable full-grown chimps can be, tourists are happy to pose close up with their very young children. They pay €5 for each picture. And Chadi's nervous owner is totally aware of the risk to the punters.
Lady, you wanna try?
He never loosens his grip on the chimp's arm. And when Chadi does get agitated, he quickly shields him from view.
What an existence. It's nothing that we haven't seen before, but that poor chimp, you know, has had its family killed in Africa, had its teeth knocked out, gets shoved in hot clothing to get dragged around these beaches for tourists to take photographs with, and at the end of the day, gets dumped in a shed with no windows, no air, no anything, just to sit in the dark and wait until the next day that it can be dragged out into the hot sun. I just, you know, it's just desperate. And really, Charlie's getting that big that I think he's coming to the end of his working days, and that means potentially the end of his life. So we got to get busy and get something done for this chimp immediately.
Alison's on her way to London for a meeting at the Turkish embassy. She's hoping to persuade officials there to help Monkey World rescue a chimp she's seen being worked as a photographer's prop in a southern holiday resort. The sanctuary has had help from the Turkish authorities before and already rescued 3 chimps: Cookie, Zeynep and Turkish Charlie. Animal director Jeremy has helped rehabilitate all 3, and even he was surprised by Cookie's background.
She'd had the life of Riley, been really spoilt rotten, rather than working hard for a living on minimal food and sort of care.
Cookie arrived at Monkey World in 2004. She was being kept as a pet by a couple in Istanbul. Alison and her late husband, Jim Cronin, who started the park, went there to find her.
I think I'd still classify her as a spoiled brat now, to be honest with you, because that sort of stuff is pretty well ingrained. I mean, she's okay, she's a nice enough girl, but she's a bit of a madam.
Alison and Jim heard about Zeynep at the same time as they were told about Cookie. She was being kept on a boat in Bodrum Harbour.
She came to our attention because the English girlfriend of the guy who owned her was not happy with, you know, the animal living on the boat and then thereafter under the stairs. She'd obviously outgrown her manageability, as these chimps do, and she was actually housed in a very inappropriate, more or less like a cupboard under the stairs.
But the first chimp to arrive from Turkey was Charlie.
Turkish Charlie's a very different background. He was born to a performing family of chimps in America. Good. And sold to a Turkish TV company, and he had his regular spot on children's TV acting the fool. It was only when he became too big and unhandleable that, you know, then obviously an alternative has to be found for his, you know, for his future. So and that's when we came in then. It is very typical for, you know, an adolescent chimp, which is what he was then, to be, you know, a bit of a Jack the Lad with other males, but Charlie's always been subordinate to anybody in authority in a nice way, and so he wasn't a problem. And everybody loves Charlie, human, chimp alike, and Turkish Charlie's a good guy. We like him.
If Alison is able to bring Charlie back from Turkey, he may start his new life in the nursery, like Charlie did. Foster mum Sally is in charge, helped by one-armed Lulu. But eventually, all new nursery chimps need to adapt to being with adult males. This means joining a group led by alpha males Hananya, Paddy or Butch. Till then, the alpha male in their life is Jeremy, who helps Sally with their upbringing. Earlier, the nursery pool was emptied and cleaned. Now, Jeremy is filling it back up. Young Rodders has never seen the pool empty before, let alone refilling with a fountain of water. To make life interesting for the whole Foster family, Jeremy's adding some bubbles.
Don't worry, this is eco-friendly bubble bath. First time I've had clean feet in a long time, I expect.
Jeremy has a very special relationship with young and newly rescued chimps and supports Sally in her efforts to teach them and keep them in line. Letting her try the bubble bath first demonstrates he recognises her authority. Chimps don't bathe in water like we do, but Sally likes the feel of the liquid on her hands and feet. It's the bubbles that intrigue 4-year-old Rodders. But as young chimps learn from their mums, he copies Sally's behaviour. Lulu hasn't worked out that the bubbles are for washing, not eating. And as youngsters can pick up bad habits too, Ash joins in.
My morning massage.
As the pool fills up, Sally gets her own bottle of bubbles to play with,
Sorry, Sally. See you there.
while a tennis ball is enough to keep Rodders occupied. And provides a bit of a challenge. The rest of the family don't seem impressed with his technique. After a little careful consideration, he works out the answer. It's great to see that Rodders is developing and trying out new skills, even if they're not always successful. Alison's arrived in London on her way to the Turkish embassy for a very important meeting. She's seeking official backing for the rescue of a chimp being illegally worked as a photographer's prop in the country's holiday resorts. She's already carried out her own undercover investigation.
Shadi, Shadi.
And now she desperately wants to bring the chimp, called Chaddy, back to Monkey World and a more natural life. As she heads to the embassy, Alison keeps positive. She knows time is running out for Chaddy.
Monkey World's worked in Turkey for a number of years now, so I'm hopeful that with our past history and their interest in trying to tidy things up in their own country, that we'll actually be able to work together, because Chaddy's working days are coming to an end now, and something needs to be done immediately. Otherwise, he's either going to die or be disposed of, because I don't think the photographer, even in his weakened state, can control him much longer.
Alison's efforts are being supported by Monkey World's local MP, Jim Knight.
I got to know Jim and Alison and started to try to work with them about how we can make it easier for them in terms of the implementation of the international treaty obligations of various countries to primates, so that we can affect the rescues that Monkey World were doing, but also there may have been other circumstances where they can sort things out in country and still fulfill their obligations. But so I've been working with them for some time over a number of different chimps, some of whom are now at Monkey World.
Alison and MP Jim meet up to talk through their concerns on the way to the crucial meeting.
The tourism industry is really important to them, and I don't think that they want to be able to see the sorts of images of chimps being exploited in Turkey, and particularly associated with the tourism industry. I don't think they really want that to continue, so we just got to be able to talk them through what they can do within the regulations so we can resolve the situation. So this is it?
Yeah, fingers crossed, I think. Good.
Alison and Jim are meeting with the Minister Councillor to the Turkish Embassy. Although Monkey World has worked successfully with Turkish officials on cases in the past, there's no guarantee they'll get the go-ahead this time. But an hour later, they emerged cautiously optimistic.
So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I think it went really well, as good as it can go for an initial meeting. And now we just have to wait and see. You know, actions speak louder than words, but I'm hopeful. It's a good start.
Obviously, it's not that straightforward because you've got a number of different ministries that have to be coordinated to seize the animals and then make sure that they can then quickly be exported to Monkey World. But it was a good meeting.
This is just the beginning of the roller coaster ride, and there's going to be many ups and downs before we actually see Chadi again, but I'm hopeful. Thanks for everything. Really good to see you again. Look after yourself.
Next time on Monkey Life. Susie, the world's oldest woolly monkey, has a down day.
It's all a bit much for poor Susie.
And orangutan Xiao Kuai has a very special day.